Hi, I'm Nancy Coen. I'm with Sons Global, and I am here with one of the most amazing men I know in the whole earth. He's one of my most favorite of all favorites, Justin Abraham. The last time that we were here together at Cedar Creek, we did a little bit of a video that went viral, and it actually went around the world, and half the people sitting in my conferences today came because of the original video that I did with Justin Abraham. He's one of the people I consider to be one of the foremost mystics in the world today, which is not a small statement because I know a whole lot of mystics. But I love Justin so much because he brings back the joy of the Lord. The joy of the Lord is our strength, you know. And not only that, but he functions in a level of love. One of the most primary things that we all have to discover today is that the new creation is going to be created by the Spirit of love. So when I meet somebody that functions in that level of love, he and Rachel, they just exude that. I get very, very excited because he really does carry the joy of the Lord, the love of the Lord, the peace of the Lord. So, Justin, I just want to welcome you here to Cedar Creek, and thank you very much for making yourself available for my birthday.
I love you, Nancy. You're my favorite. It's good to be back with you. I love it.
No, I do too.
We've had a good time. It's been beautiful. So, you know, people don't know this about me. Rachel does, my wife, but I am an introvert. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I enjoy being with the Lord. I enjoy art, you know, I enjoy all that stuff. But there's an ecstasy on the gospel that moves me to come to conferences, go out on the streets. The Trinitarian joy that's inside of us, that is exploding out of us. The ecstasies of permanent union with God, which every one of us has got. So Paul said, if I seem crazy or out of my mind, and he uses this word ekstistemi, ek means outside of where I'm standing in bliss. Mm-hmm. It's all God's fault. So I'm like that, Nancy. I'm like one of these people that I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing now at all, but I got wrecked by the ecstasy of the gospel, the ecstasy of the cross, the Trinitarian dance. And the first time I ever had this power encounter with God, his presence came in the room, and I actually passed out. It was so strong. I didn't know that could happen, that you could actually fall asleep because God's presence comes so strong. Mm-hmm. So I didn't tell anyone for a whole year that this happened. I later read, you know, Adam fell asleep, Daniel, John fell asleep. Sometimes when you go into a deep realm of beauty and wonder, your body can't handle it. Mm-hmm. And I woke up and I hear this incredible sound, roaring sound, a real sound, not imaginary. It frightened me. There was like sparks flying, banging, clanging, wheels turning. And I was thinking, what's going on? And then the Lord's voice was there. And he said, you're going to find me. You're going to find me. And what I found was that he was everywhere. I at first thought that meant I was going to have encounter after encounter. What I discovered was something bigger than encounters, that we're all in a cosmic, celestial, ecstatic encounter called life. And I did find him in everything, in the atmosphere, in the people's eyes, in the food we eat, in the clothes we wear, in the bed we lie down in, is all part of this Trinitarian, beautiful, ecstatic dance throughout space and time. And then I learned to live in that. So for the last 17 years, I've learned to live in sweetness and beauty. Even if you're having a hard time. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not the type of like a ridiculous high where you're avoiding life. It's not a drug to get you out of life. It's actually embracing life fully as it comes, with all the pain and sorrow, like you have traveling the world. with the cannibals and headhunters, and all that contradiction, that there's this pulsating, energetic force of Trinitarian love that's vibrating everywhere, in everything, that he's the all in all. And that discovery thrills you and fills you so that nothing is really natural. It's all supernatural. It's all love. It's all wonder and beauty. And that's why I'm in this ecstatic realm. It's Paul's gospel. Paul got it. He'd seen that God swallowed humanity. Swallowed humanity in his son. And we all died with him. And we're all raised with him. But now we're beginning to see it. Globally, we're awakening. And it looks different. The language is different. But all the meditation stuff that's coming through, all the higher consciousness, all the desire for sustainability, loving kindness, a new earth, new technologies, is heaven invading earth. And Nancy, I think we're at the most pivotal moment in human history. And it's so great to find someone like you that's even more crazy than I am.
Well, that's debatable.
So yeah, it's just, oh man, even now, today, just the beauty and ecstasy of what we're in right now. And I feel like my job is to spread a joy virus. So even though I can preach, I can teach, because this wine isn't foolish. You get taught the mysteries through the wine. Taste and see. Taste and see. You know, the Lord showed me something powerful about grapes years ago. I was on a ministry trip in California, I think it was. They took me in a helicopter to a vineyard. And then they took me to the house to try the wine. And there's this French man. And they have all the wines on the table, all the different types. And he's saying, you can taste any one you want, you know. And we're drinking these wines. And he says this amazing statement that filled me with just revelation. He said, when I taste a wine, I can tell which field it grew in, whether it's a white grape, red grape. I can tell which season it was, which year it was, which field it was, by the taste of the grape. When he said that, the Lord went bang. And he said, because inside that grape is the memory of the experience of the grape. The season, its DNA is encoded. Encoded with the history of the grape. And when you eat that grape, you eat the history of the grape. Well, we drink Messiah's wine. We drink wisdom's wine. And when we drink wisdom's wine, when we drink Messiah's wine, we are drinking the experience, the taste, the ecstatic, panoramic, eternal, cosmic dance through sweetness and intoxication. So even though the wine makes you drunk, it does not make you foolish.
There you go.
And we had a breakout, and it might look foolish to some people, but people are getting healed. A woman said she got delivered from seizures. Another person got healed of this and that. And this wine is so potent and happy. It liberates you from religion. Anyway, Nancy, I'm talking a lot. You say something.
No, you go on. You're doing great.
You say something beautiful.
You're doing great.
You like wine, don't you?
I do. You know how I liked wine, though.
This is a good story. Share that story of how you started drinking wine again.
Yeah, because for 20 years, I didn't have a single drop of alcohol. And it was by the Lord's mandate. He told me to stop drinking, so I stopped drinking. Mainly, I'm sure it was to save me from alcoholism, because I'm an old world German family, and we started drinking at 3. And so by the time I was in college, I literally could drink a whole case of beer per night by myself and not even be drunk. So anyway, when I gave my life to the Lord, I could have cared less about all of that. And he said, stop drinking. So for 20 years, I didn't drink even a drop, okay? We were doing this big conference in Washington, D.C. called Sound the Shofar. And we had people coming from all over the world for this event. And I was up for 3 days without a single moment of sleep because I'm hosting this whole thing. At the end of the time, I had to race to the airport, and I was late getting there because I'm still trying to finish up the last moment things to take care of and sound the shofar. So when I got to the airport, the lady, because I was a million-mile traveler, had upgraded my ticket to first class. Well, I don't like to sit in first class. I like to sit in economy because I find I have many more divine appointments in economy. So when I got to the airport, she hands me a first class ticket, and I said, "Thank you very much, but really, I don't want a first class ticket. She said, "Lady, they're closing the door. Get on the plane." So I thought, okay, so I go and I have a seat called 1A. At the sound of the shofar, there was a very anointed rabbi there who gave me a word, and the word of God was, you're going to have a supremely important divine appointment on your return home. Well, when I got on my seat in 1A, I don't even have a seatmate. And I'm thinking, dang, I knew it. I should have kept my old seat because my divine appointment is back in economy somewhere. So anyway, I wait for the plane to take off, and as soon as we were up, I unbuckled my seatbelt, and I'm going to go back to my original seat just because I want that divine appointment, okay? So I go back, but now they've assigned that seat to somebody else, so now I don't have any alternative. I have to go sit in seat 1A. So I'm sitting in seat 1A, and I'm kind of huffy, really, about the whole thing because I'm thinking I've lost my divine appointment. And anyway, I was a little tired, so I leaned my head over against the fuselage, and all of a sudden, here comes this little short, red-headed, freckle-faced, cute little stewardess. And in her hand, she has a tray, and on the tray is bread and wine and nuts and honey. And she comes to put this tray down, and I lifted up my hand and I said, "I'm sorry, I don't drink." And she goes like this and winks, sets the tray down, and turns around and leaves. So I'm thinking to myself, well, she gave me somebody else's tray because I didn't order wine, so I'm turning around looking, trying to find whose tray I have. But everybody else already had a tray. So I thought, well, that's kind of weird. I just pushed my little tray thing over and leaned my head back down again. All of a sudden, this blast of breath hits me in the face. And I turn around and I look, and nobody's there. I thought, that's kind of weird. So I lean my head back down again. The second time, here comes this breath hitting me right there in the face. Ha ha! I should have known, shouldn't I? Anyway, I look around, nobody's there. So I lay my head back down again. This time the breath was coming so strong it actually blew my hair. And I looked up, and there was Yeshua in the seat next to me. And I looked at him and I started to cry, and I said, "Lord, what are you doing here?" And he smiled and he said, "Well, I came to serve you communion." And then I really started to cry. Here's the Lord of the universe has come to sit as my divine appointment to serve me communion. Anyway, he breaks the bread, and he's saying, "This is my body, which was broken for you." And he reaches and he puts this bread in my mouth, and I'm like crying and crying and crying and crying. Yeshua, the Lord of the universe, is here serving me communion. Anyway, he puts it in my mouth and he says, "This is my body, which was broken for you." And he begins to teach me about the reason why communion is not effective in healing us and delivering us from immortality. And as he's teaching me, I'm crying and crying and crying. And I mean, snot's rolling. I'm crying so hard, okay? The people across the aisle, they looked over me and they said, "Lady, are you okay? Do we need to get you a doctor? Is everything all right?" And they don't see him, okay? So I said, yes, I'm just fine. It's okay. Go back. It's all right. Then he picks up the wine glass, and he goes to put the wine up to my lips. And I turned around and said, I'm sorry, I don't drink. Can you imagine anything so stupid? This is how our religious traditions hold us back. When I said, I'm sorry, I don't drink, he threw his head back and went into unbelievable gut-busting laughter. And he turned around and looked at me and he said, so what you're saying is, what's okay for me is not okay for you? Now I really started to cry because now I've offended my Lord because I'm not going to drink his blood. So I grabbed that thing and I just slugged it down and I'm crying and sobbing. And the people across the aisle are saying, honey, is everything, do we need to get you a doctor? Is there a doctor on board here? Because I'm crying so hard and they can't see anything happening. Anyway, we go through this whole thing and I get down to the end and I said, Lord, what about the nuts and the honey? He looked at me and he laughed and he said, well, you are a little nutty, honey. I tell people that and they say, God doesn't talk like that. And I said, oh, yes, he does. And they also tell me he doesn't laugh. And I said, he laughs at me all the time. It's like he's watching a cute little 3-year-old girl trying to figure out how to walk. So anyway, I'm crying and crying, and of course at the end of this time, he disappears, and I lay my head down and I go sound asleep. When the plane landed, because I'm in seat 1A, I can be the first person to get off of the plane. And so I jump up, and I'm standing there at the door, and when they open the door, there's the cute little red-headed, freckle-faced stewardess on the other side of the door, winking. And she turns around and walks down the jetway and just disappears in the middle of the jetway. You see, many times we entertain angels not even knowing that they are angels. That's why the word says, how many times do we entertain angels? And we don't even know it or recognize it because they take on human form. So one of the things that is happening today in the mystical realms is many manifestations of hyper, super spiritual things that we've not really witnessed before. And many of those things are happening, and they're already beginning to unfold in the earthly realms so that people can actually recognize the fact that it's real. So when Jesus says in John 14:12, the things that I do, you may do also, and greater things than I have done will you do, because I'm going away to the Father. So the issue is, I didn't say it, Jesus said it. And what's happening right now is we're stepping into the day of the greater things. But Jesus is our only pattern. And whenever these supernatural events occur in my life, my first thing is, go look it up in the Word. Because if He did it, we can do it too. Hi, I'm Nancy. I just want to thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, like and subscribe our YouTube channel. And if you're interested in lengthy, deeper teachings concerning the mysteries of God, contact us at sons.global and partner with us as we become co-workers and co-creators together with God for the establishment of His kingdom and His righteousness in all the earth.